With a truck that most people would have thought impossible to revive, it's been an amazing journey so far of bringing this 1968 C10 back from the dead and turning it into a one-of-a-kind shortened truck that has basically been built from scratch. With an extensive amount of hours in this build so far, I finally reached the bodywork stage, and if you've been keeping up with the series, you've seen that I ran into a big issue with my first coat of primer, but a minor setback is not enough to stop me from accomplishing my dream of building one of the coolest C10s ever created. So in the last video, you guys saw that I had to remove all the epoxy primer since it wasn't bonding to the metal. So that's exactly what I did. Here's a quick little tip for you guys to save some cash. If you're doing bodywork, you guys know what guide coat is. It's very helpful to find your low spots on your panels, but you guys also know that it's quite expensive. So instead of buying some guide coat, I've been using some marking chalk, and it's only $3.99 for a bottle. It does the exact same job, and you can pretty much find it at any hardware store. So it's very, very helpful when you're doing bodywork. Using the guide coat and sanding a lot, this quarter panel is turning out nicely. Just have to finish up a few little things, and this will be ready for the high build primer. So I can't wait to see how that's gonna turn out. But right now, I'm gonna move on to another panel and keep doing the bodywork. So the headboard is shaping up nicely. You can see that I put a light skim on the entire headboard, and I just sanded until I started seeing a little bit of fiberglass or a little bit of metal. So there's not too much material on there. And now it's ready for the high build primer or the feather fill. When you're applying body fill to your tailgate, you want to make sure you don't get any in the letters, because it's just a pain to sand out. It's a tough spot to access with sandpaper, so you just want to make sure you don't get any in there, and it's going to save you a lot of time. To compare to what this tailgate used to look like, I'm going to put a picture up on the screen, but man, what a huge difference. This is going to look like a brand new tailgate, if not better. And when I started with this, it was all bent and rusty, so a massive transformation. It's also straight now. It doesn't get any straighter than that. And I did add some reinforcement on the underside to make sure that it stays straight. So it was a lot of work off camera to get this ready. Things that you don't really notice, but nonetheless, it has to get done. The body panels are coming together, and here you can see that I've been working on the cap corners and door gaps. So now I just have to sandblast the rocker panels, clean them up, and then I'll be able to keep going. Real quick, if you guys are enjoying the build, scroll down, hit the like button. It really helps out the channel, and it helps me put out some more content for you guys. I appreciate all the support. Let's keep working. All right, so I'm gonna roll the truck outside, and we're gonna sandblast the rocker panels. So I'm gonna remove the door, just sandblast on the inside over here, clean all that up, and then I'll be able to start doing some body work. inside of the door is all cleaned up. I also cleaned up the sides of the door as well. So that's ready for bodywork. Didn't really find any surprises, which is good. And now I'm just gonna blow it off, clean off all the sand, and then we'll keep going. So the rocker panels are sandblasted and cleaned up. So now I can really move forward with the cab, keep doing the body work. And I installed the front fender on the truck. I did a lot of work to get it to this point. The door gaps are getting pretty good, and I still have to do a little bit of work to get it perfect. And I also did a lot of work to fix up the bottom of the fender here. I still have to sand it down. I just applied some filler. So once that's sanded down, it'll pretty much wrap up the fender, and then it's good to go for the feather fill. The bodywork has been going very well on this side. If we go on the other side, I've been doing some metal work, getting this prepped and ready for some bodywork as well. And it's almost there. But right now, to change it up, I'm gonna hop over to my engine and start working on that. So in between coats of fiberglass and body fill, I've been working on my engine instead of watching the material dry. And I did receive a lot of parts, pretty much all the parts I need to put the engine together. So I have a whole bunch of parts that are ready for my engine, like these forward-facing headers from Flowtech, and a TIC Performance cam, and of course the beautiful Holley EFI intake. Let's take this out of the box to get a better look. Man, this Holley high ram intake looks insane, and it also came with the fuel rails, and it's made for cathedral port heads, so the stock 317 heads that are going to be on my engine. And they also sent me these Flowtech forward-facing turbo headers. So they're a little bit thicker material, made for a turbo application, and that also looks insane. It's gonna look so good when it's installed up in the front there, and I can't wait to clean up the block and start assembling all those parts. So without further ado, let's keep disassembling the engine and clean up the LQ4 block. Alright, so I took off all the timing gear set and the plate that held the cam in place. So now I just have to pull it out. So there is the stock camshaft. The crank is out of the block, and now I'm just gonna have to mask the block, and then I'm gonna sandblast it, then paint it. So it should look pretty cool. I'm gonna try and do a nice job with the sandblaster. One thing I wanted to mention is that I was planning to use these main bearings for the crank, just take them out and then reinstall them with the crank when I was done. But they are actually in rough condition. You can see that there's little bits of debris in there, and it feels gritty. So that's definitely not what you want to see for some crank bearings. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I know these bearings should be swapped over anyway since I'm here. So this kind of just forced the issue. And I'm probably gonna have to get the crank resurfaced or polished. I masked the top portion of the engine. I just have to cover up the holes on the ends, and then I'll flip it over and do the other side. I'm just getting back at the shop. I just dropped off my engine at the machine shop. They're gonna put some new crank bearings, connecting rod bearings, and cam bearings, and they're also gonna deck the heads and the block. So that should be pretty cool. They said they were expecting to do it within 2 to 3 weeks, so I can't really do anything with the engine until then, but there's still a lot of work left to do on the truck.